So this week's shooting in Las Vegas has a lot of us wondering how to handle trauma if it ever happens to us or to our loved ones.
Jen McCormick is a mental health therapist and counselor here in Seattle and joins us with some advice. Jen, it's really good to have you here.
Thanks.
So I've asked Jen to come here today because a little over a year ago I was sitting in her office after the shooting in Mukilteo. My family had a connection to that shooting. And I just remember that day, Jen, how compassionate you were. But the biggest light bulb that went off in my head is when I asked you, I don't even know where to start. Where do I start?
Yeah, and I think one of the things to remember, especially about these kinds of incidents, is unfortunately we are faced with them more and more often. And, you know, I think that we're sort of expected to move through it really quickly. Already in our society, we believe that, you know, you're supposed to be done with your grief process quickly. And just to remember that this takes time. It's going to take time to heal, and you may not know where to start right away. And the best place to start is to talk to people that you care about and that you trust.
Can something like this, even seeing an event like this on TV, maybe trigger something for someone who maybe has past trauma in their lives?
Absolutely. And I know it's funny to say this on TV, but I often recommend that if that is the case for you, or if you find this news story to be particularly disturbing, to turn off the TV for a little while and take a break from the media, because hearing the same story over and over, although you might want that to change what happened, it won't. And it won't do anything to help you recover.
I remember when I asked you, well, I just remember going into your office thinking that you would hand me a blueprint. Yeah. Mark, you need to do this, and then after you do that, do this. And what you told me was you just have to be okay with however you're feeling on any given day. Can you talk to people at home about sort of the reasoning behind that process?
Yeah, I think, you know, for every person, it's different. And so to have compassion with yourself and to know, again, that this takes a while and it's going to look different for you from day to day. And to know that the best thing to do is just to get that support and to understand that you might not know how you feel each day when you wake up. Whether or not you are directly impacted by this incident, it is a time to sort of take stock and take care of yourself.
So someone who has gone through something as traumatic as, say, this Las Vegas tragedy could be dealing with that event incredibly differently than the person who was right next to them dealing with the exact same thing.
Absolutely. I mean, like Mark said, there is no blueprint, and we all handle these things very, very differently. Yeah.
So Jen, take us through the process of healing. I mean, you know, I always, you know, since what happened to our family, I talked to one of the guys who was my neighbor growing up who was in the shooting in Vegas, and I just encouraged him. I said, you know, don't rule out reaching out for professional help at some point, because you will probably need it. When you've gone through the trauma that these folks have gone through. What does that process look like, and what should people think about as they try to heal from this?
Yeah, I think it's hard to know, you know, for anyone whether or not you need professional help. And signs to look for are if, you know, in the next couple of weeks, if you find that you're crying more often or you're not able to do the things that you might have been able to do before, or you're not interested in doing those things, and that keeps persisting, then it might be time to think about talking to a professional.
We've been surprised by how many of our friends or coworkers know someone who was there at the concert.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say to someone on the phone? I mean, what do they want to hear? You know, is it enough to say, you know, hey, we love you, we're thinking about you?
I think that's definitely a start. I would also say that a lot of people that I talk to that are survivors of these kinds of traumas want people to take action. And so they often don't know what they want, just like they don't know how they're going to feel. They don't know what they want for support either. So think of what they want. Would they want, you know, someone to come and take care of their kids or to cook them a meal, and try to do those things for them.
Yeah. Bottom line, we just have a few seconds left, Jen. Any advice to somebody who maybe have gone through trauma out there? Just any personal advice?
I mean, I think the most important thing is just to be compassionate and kind with yourself and understand, like I've said a few times, that this is really a universal experience and also individual. And so please be compassionate and forgiving.
Okay. Jen McCormick, always good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.